on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And I also have 2 podcasts. One is Recovering Perfectionist Mama, Grace in Progress, which is a psychology channel where we talk about perfectionism, where we talk about boundaries, where we talk about fake niceness, coping mechanisms, strategies, trauma, the gambit. And then the second one is Grace and Gavel, where truth meets compassion, is a true crime channel. I'm an almost 18-year criminal defense attorney. If you're interested, I just posted the overturned conviction of Alex Murdaugh. If you are aware of that case, then if you want to check it out, feel free, it's there. So today we're talking about 2-part series. Today we're talking about the psychology of abandoned car series, of car mysteries, excuse me. And part 2 is when investigators become too certain. So there is something uniquely haunting about abandoned vehicle cases because a car represents movement, intention, destination, routine, and human presence. Then suddenly the car remains and the person is gone. And you wonder, why would someone leave their vehicle? Because ultimately you're safer when you're in a place that you can control. And oftentimes these cases are extremely haunting because there aren't a lot of clues, or there are a lot of clues that just don't make sense. For instance, why would someone get out of their car unless they had to get out of their car? Maybe someone forced them out of their car. Maybe someone took them to another location, or any number of things. And ultimately, you don't leave a car, which can be your safe space, most likely unless you're forced to, or you are trying to run away from a scenario and you think that getting out of your car would be the quickest path to doing that. And so there are a lot of questions that oftentimes are not answered, and people think, oh, well, we found the car. The car only tells part of the story. It does not tell the entire story, right? So then suddenly the car remains and the person is gone. People are like, what happened to the person? Did they take off running? Were they kidnapped? Were they harmed? What actually occurred? And honestly, this creates psychological discomfort for people because abandoned car cases disrupt our expectation of continuity. We expect someone drives somewhere and arrives. But unfortunately, there has been no arrival in a lot of these cases. There's been no resolution in a lot of these cases because these cases can be difficult to solve, right? But when the timeline breaks, the human brain immediately begins searching for explanation, meaning, and narrative certainty. Tonight, I want to talk about roadside disappearances, disorientation, environmental confusion, witness interpretation, and why these cases psychologically grip the public imagination. Because honestly, many of these cases are far more psychologically complicated than people may realize. Let's talk about part 2, when investigators become too certain. Tonight, I want to talk about tunnel vision because honestly, one of the greatest dangers in investigations is not always bad intent. Sometimes it's certainty. Human beings naturally seek patterns, explanations, emotional closure, and narrative consistency. So once investigators commit to a theory, contradictory evidence can begin feeling irritating, insignificant, unbelievable, or threatening. And honestly, that's not unique to law enforcement. Humans do this everywhere. Families, politics, media, relationships, and institutions. But in criminal investigations, the consequences can become life-altering. And so I want to talk about how confirmation bias can prevent us from seeing the whole picture. If we have an idea that we know exactly what happened and we're not looking at other viewpoints, then we're in tunnel vision. As well as an emotional investment into solving this case because you want to help the family, you want to help the victims and the survivors be able to figure out what happened. And that is a huge emotional investment. Nobody wants to disappoint anyone else. And then the reputation effects, you know what I mean? If you make a mistake and you screw up a case, then your reputation is going to be tarnished. And so that could be a lasting impact there, as well as witness interpretation. Witnesses try to interpret things that oftentimes they may not have the experience or the knowledge to be able to do that. And that's why humility is so important in investigations, because honestly, confidence and accuracy are not always the same thing. So thank you for tuning in today, and I hope that you will have a great rest of your day. And feel free to check out the replay if you've missed some of this, because there's 2 parts. And I just want to say thank you for tuning in, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.